Today we're talking about Sung Jinwoo and the best way to build him in Solo Leveling Arise for the global launch. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe if you are new. About 80% of viewers aren't, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel for more content like this. Also, giveaways are going to happen, fun things like that. So you guys have probably seen a lot of videos on the topic, and you probably have a general idea how you want to build him. So if you've invested in any way into Sung Jinwoo, let me know what you've done. Are you doing the thing where he mainly invests in strength, right? And in this series, he does that. He does kind of double back, and he's like, oh, wait a minute, I kind of need to put some stuff in the other stats. But maybe that's what you're doing. Let me know. How are you building your Sung Jinwoo in Solo Leveling Arise? Post down below in the comments. So the way I like to look at it is that I think there are 3 amazing stats and 2 not so great stats. The not so great stats are vitality and intelligence. However, I would like to say, depending who you ask, they may be better than others, depending who you ask what you're looking for. Now, I'm not saying they probably are right about it, but depending who you ask, right? Jokes aside, and the amazing stats of the other 3, primarily perception and strength. Now, quick note on this, we're going to focus a lot on perception at the beginning of this video. We're going to follow through from there into talking about strength, and then we'll talk about agility. But I want to kind of throw a quick eulogy for vitality and intelligence. Now, I don't want to underrate these stats. I think that they have their place. I think every stat on this page has their place in the game. However, you get the most bang for your buck investing in the other 3 than you do in these. It's just basically that simple. When you talk about vitality, it's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. However, this game has the shadow step. If you were in a position where you were like relying on blocking, you would still take some damage, but reduce it by blocking, blah blah blah. You know, but you can just flat out nullify damage entirely if you get good at the game. It's really just that simple. Are you good at the game in terms of timing the dodges? 1, and are you good at the game at managing your dodges? 2. Like, it's really that simple. So if that's the case, and since that's the case, that immediately shoots defense down the list. Now, there is a place in stat where, like, if you happen to get hit because maybe you aren't able to manage those things great, you will take obviously less damage. So that's where that stat kicks in. Now, if we talk about intelligence, additional MP, it's one of those things where and this number actually never really goes up great. That's really not like, cooldown reduction's cool, but the MP part of it is just kind of whatever. But the additional MP is not really like it's not really, just to be honest. And then cooldown reduction is cool, but pun intended, I guess. But it's not something you also need, because again, just on the topic of, you know, the shadow step and managing, a lot of this game is timing. It's all just timing and managing. That's all it really is. So if you're good at managing your cooldowns, using the right skills at the right times, you don't really need to invest in it. So if you're not good at those things, I would just personally, bluntly put, recommend trying to practice those things. And by the way, I'm not the best player at the game. So, like, you know, that's what you have to really do. So speaking of what you also have to do, if you're new to the game, be sure to follow on Twitch, and the Discord links are down below. Also, I am a part of the creator program for Solo Leveling Arise. It's pretty awesome. So if you make any purchases in the game, use code DFREE, and I will get support for that. Lowercase only, DFRE. I appreciate it big time. So let's talk about precision and strength as the main 2 things I want to talk about, and we'll talk about agility as well towards the end of the video, but precision and strength. So the really, really short and sweet, easy way to put it is that these 2 are 2 pieces to one puzzle. They are damage related, like agility too, but these 2 are the main damage related bonuses that you can do. One raises the overall amount of damage, the maximum amount in strength, increases the maximum amount of damage you're doing. And 1 lowers the minimum amount of damage you're doing. Well, you may say, well, hey, DFREE, why does it matter what the minimum number is? And the reason it matters is because there's a lot of variance, right? You may have, and these are really low numbers in general, but they're easy to kind of do an example for. You may have some hits that are doing 100 damage, 100 damage, 200 damage, 800 damage, maybe it was a critical hit, like things like that, right? But if you raise the floor of your damage from 100 up to, say, 500, then all of a sudden, on average, all your hits are doing more damage. That, again, not very mathematical, just a very quick, short and sweet example, so you understand the importance of that. Now, when you factor that in, say your floor now is 500, 500, there's 1,000 there because it's critical, blah, blah, blah. When you increase the strength stat, now your hits are going from 500, 500. Some of them are going to be 500 because there's just going to be variance, but now the peak is higher. Now the hits are doing over 1,000 on several hits. Like, That's kind of the way that these stats work. So again, I know somebody's going to try to jump down my throat because I didn't give you literal numbers, because that's one thing that's kind of happened, but that does kind of happen, excuse me. But that's an example. Hopefully you guys can apply that and understand what I'm trying to say to you. The in-game description for perception is as follows. Enhances your precision stat or your perception stat to increase your precision. As your precision increases, your minimum damage dealt to enemies increases. So I would primarily invest in precision. Now, precision is a tricky one. Some people will tell you 80%, some people will tell you 85, some people 90, 95, or 99, I believe it goes to 100. But anyway, some people will tell you 199 doesn't matter. I tell you 90. You want to hit the magnifying glass and see the stat at 90. Now, a tricky thing about precision is you invest in it here on this page. However, you also get investment in the precision stat from weapons. Now, if we look at weapons, they are laid out as follows. SSRs have a predetermined stat number. I'm assuming that that number obviously goes up when you raise the overall level from 60, where all mine are. But when you raise that level, obviously the stat goes higher. But as you see, attack and HP are there, just stagnant numbers across the board, which is good. You want those numbers. But as you've noticed, with one dupe invested, now they're at 2,000 precision. Two dupes invested, they're at 25, so on and so forth. This trend does apply to the other lower rarity weapons. But one thing that'll wind up happening is, as you play more, the lower rarity weapons, maybe not, like SRs will be kind of tricky and hard to get to because there's so many of them. And then also there's hunters in there, so it's kind of tricky. But inevitably, over time, you will advance these weapons with duplicates. And then you see the precision stat starts getting kind of beefy, right? So even if we go to lower rarities, that's also a factor with lower rarities too. And you can really kind of cheat. So what you can do is you can run like your main weapon, say the plump, my main. You can also put a secondary weapon on that's a low rarity one that has dupes invested, and you'll be able to cheese it a little bit because you may get the benefits of the passives of whatever weapon. See, like right here, increases the attack here when 3 instances have been applied. I'm not really sure exactly how long that is. 15 seconds, okay. Well, the Demon Plum Sword would also get the benefit of this extra attack stat bonus. That's cool, right? Like, you get the benefits of whatever passives that they have, and then when they're advanced a lot, the overall number goes up here. This is still worse than, using an SSR weapon, but it's going to be a lot more feasible for a lot of players. So, key note is do not salvage your R rarity weapons. Do not, actually, for another reason, don't ever salvage anything. And that pertains to in-game events. Basically, you don't want to ever salvage. But use a lower rarity weapon as your sub weapon. Hopefully it's one that you enjoy the playstyle for, and that would allow you to cheese, getting precision in cheaply, right? So if you don't have duped out SSR weapons, you can do that. Now, the attack stat is one that is kind of all over the place, but it's also, and by all over the place, I mean it's easy to get investment in, but it's also extremely important because all of Sung Jinwoo's stats, his skills scale off of that stat. So attack based off attack, blah, blah, blah. You're going to look at other hunters. They also do have their own stat spread, whether it's precision, yada, yada, and you can't manipulate it to the way you can't really do it all, but you can't really manipulate it like you can Sung Jinwoo's, but they're going to scale off of different things. Some are going to scale with their skills off of attack, defense, or HP, and that changes your importance of like how you want to build your team. That's a whole different topic. But for Sung Jinwoo, all of his stuff scales off of attack, so you invest a lot in the strength as well. So my point with precision is I would recommend getting it to about 90%, and then pretty much everything else goes into strength and agility. And so if you have also a lot of duplicates in weapons, you may be able to get by with investing a little bit less in strength and a little bit more in agility. But I think that if you're like a free player or whatever, you want to definitely go precision and strength first and then agility second. So let's move on from there and talk a little bit more about how some of the stats are impacted by artifact sets. So as you see right here, here's my base critical numbers. It's at 28%. This is important because critical maxes out at 50%. I am getting that all from my artifacts right? 1435 of that 1500 is all from the artifact. So that's kind of how things are. Weapons don't offer that, so it's all from that. Now, quick note, artifacts don't offer precision, so that's another thing too. Weapons offer a heap of precision, but precision is not on artifact. So it's kind of tricky, but you can get a lot out of your weapons and precision, or your weapon and artifact sets to improve your stats overall. Anyway, the maximum cap for critical hit is 50%. The reason why that's important is because if you were to just say I blew all this, all these points into here, I would hit that cap and I would exceed it. And if you exceed it, you get nothing for it. Simply put, you're wasting those points. So you don't need to do this. What I recommend doing is going like, okay, let's just say I'm really close. I'm like at 45%, go 10, 20, maybe go a couple ones in there just to make sure, and then check it, see where you're at, check it, go back and forth, see if that helps you out. But you don't want to exceed 50% there because that will be diminishing returns. Now, somebody can correct me if I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right. This number for these set bonuses, the 8%, 32%, these numbers do exceed that though. They're not showing, but they do exceed it. Now, the numbers up here, the actual passives on these weapons, attack, MP consumption, these do get factored, as you saw when we looked at the stat spread for critical and all that stuff. These do get factored into the investment for Sung Jinwoo and his stat spread. So
I'm ready.
That matters. Let me show you something as an example. We're gonna go all the way, and this is I've done this already, so I'm basically just gold resetting a bunch of times for these videos, but whatever. Make sure you hit that thumbs up for the rip, right? So I'm at 49.38, so I am just at the peak of this. It caps out at 50%. Now, where can I get more of that to squeeze out of that? If I just swap this artifact piece for one that offers critical hit rates, one in here somewhere. I'll just do quick. If I swap it for one that offers critical hit rate, I will be able to hit that cap of that, as you can see. So the extra 631 critical hit rate investment, it would take me to the cap of 50. Yeah, 50%. So I don't know how many points I went over or what the actual cap is. Maybe the cap's 4,500 or what, right? But that's one thing I would like to mention. You do hit maximum number. Now, critical hit damage broken, I think it's only scaling 50% of whatever this is instead of the actual number that it shows you right now. But I expect that to be fixed for global. So I'm not really going to elaborate or talk about or research that too much. But the key gist is when it came to critical is that it has an upper limit, so make sure you're watching how much you're investing from the actual stat spread pyramid that Jin Woo has. Also, as it pertains to that, I wouldn't worry about it as much. I'd invest more into the other two stats. Particularly also keep an eye on whether you're using weapons that have duplicates in them, because that will matter a lot as it pertains to Jin Woo. Also, make sure that your strength stat is not lagging behind, because the strength stat is important for his skills. They are scaling off of that, so it is extremely important. The defense and intelligence stats, they are up to you if you want to invest in those. I think maybe you could do some super cheeky stuff with intelligence where like you raise it really, really high and then put on sets for him that are going to reduce his cooldown or things like that. But I think that's doing the most. You just want to invest in the strength. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did and you made it to the end, you enjoyed the video, obviously, if you watched the entire thing. And if you did, I appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe and that thumbs up if it's helpful. And follow on Twitch, Discord, all that stuff down below in the description.